Hello and welcome to the jungle. We are live here for another episode of Tiger Vision. We are Duval. I am Mondre Allen here with Coach Huff, Coach Cabral Huff. Coach, how are you today?
Busy, man. Back from the Final Four. Learned a lot, gained a lot of experience, and glad to be back to work with the guys this week. So just busy, man. Busy trying to get better.
Coach, did you happen to see my new head coach walking around there in the Final Four?
I did not catch him, but definitely caught a lot of other great individuals, tried to pick their brains. Even if it was just a brief conversation or, whatever it may be. But my staff and I really enjoyed ourselves. Got a time, it's just been interacting, the downtime per se of the Final Four is a time to learn, reflect, rejuvenate, and see how you can get better. And I think our staff and I was able to do that.
How's everybody on staff? You guys had to hit the ground running and immediately get started with work. This is one of the first times you've been able to just really get to know each other and hang out. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. First time to really just hang out when you're not out recruiting, right? So it was good, man. It was good, man, to interact with each other from a car ride, to the airport, to the flight, to when we touched down in Phoenix and all the time that we were there. So it was good.
Awesome. Great to see. Happy to hear it. You made your way out west, and there was some news that broke while you were out west before the championship game. We got news that John Calipari would be, after 15 years, leaving the University of Kentucky and making his way to the University of Arkansas. And that news kind of broke the internet, and I felt like it would be apropos to talk to another coach about it. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt back and forth and narratives on the internet, but what is it like from we forget sometimes, like we forget players are people, we forget coaches are people too, with real families and kids and real responsibilities and ties to a specific community. You've done this a couple of times in your career, been able to make a decision to leave your newly minted coach at Edward Waters last season, was announced as head coach last season. When you decide to make a move as a coach, what are some of the things that are running through your head when you decide to leave a place where you've had some success, as you did at Voorhees, and decided to make that change and come to Edward Waters?
I don't care what anybody says. If our job is a hire and fire business, so let me make that clear. Like, as much as we get hired, if we don't produce, we're going to probably get fired. But if you're not getting fired, then you've got to make a tough decision. If you're going to take a new opportunity and new challenges, And those decisions aren't always easy. And I'm always a upfront and real person. Doesn't always mean when you're on that interview, you absolutely know that you're going to take it. You believe you will, because you wouldn't be there if there weren't some things that brought you to that point. But there's some conversations that have to be had. I think most times you have to feel it's going to be a better position for yourself and your family. We talk about the transfer portal, and I think that's what a lot of people bring up. Like, some decisions with these kids, or is it going to be a better situation for them? So the same can be said for a coach. Is it going to be a better situation for you? But it's tough, man, to leave behind the people, sometimes in some cases, people that gave you an opportunity when others wouldn't, or maybe it's a place, that your family loves. And God forbid if it's a place you grew up, that's your hometown, and you're deciding to leave to go someplace else. So a lot of things go into it, but it's not an easy decision. I think every coach goes through a pro and con list, and every pro and con list doesn't always begin with money, because all money isn't good money is what I think. But I do think it's about does the vision of that institution and what the people in charge, administration, does their vision and mission fit yours? And if it does, and then all the other things align, I think a lot of times that's what allows coaches to make the move. And if you want to talk on Coach Cal a bit, there's some people that believe you can be at a place too long. I think Coach Cal was there 14 to 15 years. And
15 years.
We all want to win a championship, right? And I know a lot of people talk about, well, he only won one. But I guarantee you there are a lot of other programs that would take the success he had in those 15 years and say, I'll take that. In addition to producing the NBA players he did. Whether you believe what he says his number one job is, which is to get those guys to make the most money they can and be NBA players, or whether you want to believe the fans or administration, whoever, and their job is to say win championships. Like, there's a happy medium, yes. But I think there are a lot of other places that would take what he was able to do.
I agree with you 100%. When it comes to coaching, as you said, a hire and fire business, sometimes does your own success at times make your job more difficult? The more success that you have, can it make your job a little more difficult? The expectation that you can do what you just did over and over and over and over again.
It does. And when you've had success, they expect it to be done even quicker than before. And so we as coaches put a lot of expectations and we just put a lot of expectations on ourselves. So you combine that with what the expectations may be of fans, even your players, your staff, the community. We're harder on ourselves than sometimes people really think. Like, that's why coaches are up late at night trying to figure out game plan and watching film. That's why we're on the road so much, trying to get, better in our programs with our players. So yes, it's hard, man. This is not an easy job. You've got to have thick skin, because whether you win or lose, everybody's not happy. Whether it's your players, whether it's the fans, somebody's not happy. So how are you going to handle that? How are you going to sustain success? How are you going to handle adversity? All those things matter as a head coach, as a coach, period.
For sure. You talked a little bit about administration and making sure the vision for the administration aligned with your vision as a coach. What were some of the things during your interview process here at Errol Waters where you felt like the vision, as you spoke, aligned, and you felt like you could see yourself in that vision of the administration?
I tell people, and if you go back to my press conference, I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a winner. I want to win, and I want people that in administration who feel the same way. And I don't think there's any doubt about it that Dr. Faison and Dr. Rich want to win. I also have said this. Us winning would never impact our integrity and our character. And so I also felt that at Errol Waters, that we wanted to win the right way. And lastly, we want to have a holistic approach, like not just winning on the court, but winning off the court. Graduating these young men that we have, making sure that we're really about family, that this school was about family, and all of that aligned. Everything that I feel in my soul and my heart about what I'm trying to do is what Edward Waters was trying to do. And I think that's why we were a fit for one another. And I think you know when you're a fit. And I think sometimes we as coaches, we overlook fits because of other things. You know, I'll just use me as an example. Why go back home to Atlanta that may not be a fit with all the things that I'm saying? I'm just saying, just using me because I don't want to use any, like, and sometimes we take location, we take money, we take, well, they've had this kind of amount of success. And how much research are we really doing in the place that we're going? The same way we tell kids, have you researched that program, that coach? We as coaches got to do the same thing. And then I do think administrations have to have some patience. We have to, you know, we may have discussed this, but I think if you talk about Jay Wright, Coach K, Roy Williams, and I think it was one more, like if it was 2024 and it was their first 3 years in their conference, they may have been fired already.
For sure.
Again, it goes back to fit and what the vision and mission of that institution and the people in charge are y'all lined up together? Are y'all in alignment? Because just like your car, if your car is out of alignment, you're going to the left and right, and eventually you're going to break down.
For sure. For those that may have missed it, we did speak previously about some of the best coaches in the game, or some guys that are notable for being some of the best coaches in the game. Roy Williams, Jay Wright, Coach K, talking about what their first 3 seasons, or I believe it's 3 or 5 first few seasons looked like as a head coach, and they had losing records. So I think those guys, it's pretty safe to say they figured it out and got it going. But patience, as you said, is absolutely needed.
It's adapting, man. Like I think they adapted whatever time period that was for them. They adapted. I mean, you go back and look at Coach K. Even after he won some at Duke, he had to adapt to not a one and done, right? And so now we're in a different period right now of adapting to the new era of the transfer portal, right? And I think Prez is on here. He's right. Pressure is a privilege. If I don't have any pressure to win, then what am I doing this for, right? Like I don't want to be somewhere where, oh, it's okay, you know, win 5 games and you're good, coach. Like I'm not built that way. I'm not built that way. There may be other people who are, but I'm not built that way. Like as soon as our season ended, I was ready. Let's go. How we gonna get better? I'm not finna clap. Like we can talk about everything we did this season. I love it. I want to make sure people understand that. But we got to get better, and we will.
100%. I love it. When you talk about getting better and the leadership at the school and administration at the school, Edward Waters University continues to grow and to get better. We've got some video of a new cafeteria and some expansion. You know, it's always good when you see people walking around your campus in those bright yellow vests and hard hats, and there are cranes on campus. That means new buildings and facilities are going up. That's generally what that means. And there are some new additions at Edward Waters Huff. I'll share some video, but do you want to have a little talk about that as we get ready to get the video up on the screen?
It's just a reflection of leadership, of how we're adapting and moving forward. You know, we're not staying stagnant. We're not saying, well, it's always been done this way. We've always had it. You know, we're going to embrace our past. We're going to embrace the legacy of Edward Waters University, previously Edward Waters College. But we're also going to move forward. And moving forward is, you know, what you see in our wellness center, the new wellness center, the weight room, what you see in our new academic success center, what you see on the court, you know, with the boxes and all those things. And now what you're going to see in our new dining hall that will be up in the fall in September.
Here we go.
And so behind you, I have this photograph, and this is called a rendering. It is something that's created by our architect. and it's pretty much where we're going to be when we get through. So we're standing right there with that column again. So this will be seating in this area. There will be our register when we come in those doors. And this far door that you came in will have a register down there, and you can see it right there for the grab and go and late night takeout. Behind here is the faculty dining, the storage for our chef, and the catering storage. And so we'll have, these displays sometimes change from the time the rendering till it comes into life. So this may not be 100% accurate, but it'll be very close. In this hallway is our 2 new restrooms I spoke of, and then we'll have the president's dining, and then we'll have the existing bathrooms that we're refurbishing. So we're very proud of this. It will give a big boost for everybody. And so here I have an example of the LED light fixture that will be overhead. It'll be all modern. Everything will look. This is our sample of our flooring. That'll be the ceiling tile, and another example of the flooring. So when we put a white ceiling in here and put the LED lights, this place is going to be very bold and exciting. And we put a lot of colors in it. And so it looks modern, and I think everybody will be pleased. So I'll pause there if anybody's got any questions. And then we will walk through our area. And then once we get through up here, yes, ma'am.
I have one question. We currently cater to, today's times and our demographic of students. Is there possible to have a bathroom that's unisex?
Well, we discussed that, and the labeling on these 2 bathrooms, they are going to be handicapped, and both of them will be unisex. I just because I'm accustomed to it, these in the back will probably leave those men and women, and these 2 new ones will be handicapped unisex. And all that is the label. They'll all be furnished for anybody and everybody.
Gotta love when new facilities are going in. You can go check out the full length of the video on Dr. A. Zachary Faison's Twitter account. Fantastic full walkthrough of the facility, but new facilities going up. It's going to be that's one of the first things when I talk to we talk to basketball players, we talk to student athletes all the time, and from the parents to the kids, the 2 questions that you're going to get all the time is, mom wants to see where her child is going to lay his head every night. So the mom wants to see the dorms. The kid wants to see what the cafeteria looks like. They want to know about the food. At least maybe that was just my son. But he immediately, I'll look at the dorm for 5 minutes, and then he's going to shoot over. He wants to go to the gym, and he wanted to go to the calf. But brand new calf going in. Fantastic leadership. This is within the calendar year. This is the second big development that you guys have had. As we had a ribbon cutting that we showed right here on this show, right, just a few months ago, as the basketball season was still going. Coach, what are your thoughts on how Edward Waters continues to grow and expand?
Why not EWU? That's my thing. Why not EWU? We got everything you need. You want to come to a big city? Here we are. We're Jacksonville. You want to go to the beach? You're 10 minutes away. You want to eat in a state-of-the-art dining facility? We're going to have it. You want to be able to go to a state-of-the-art chemistry, mathematics building? We've got that. And we got the best floor in America, baby. What else do you need?
Come ball in Duval. That's for sure. What I love about it as somebody that jumped in to try to help be a voice in the HBCU space, I don't want to ignore some of the criticisms that sometimes unfairly HBCU schools get, as we never see anything done with the money. What are we doing with the money? I consistently, since I've been involved here at Edward Waters, has said you should be leaping to give money to Edward Waters. People should be lined up down the block for donations. Hit the QR code to give donations, because there's no way you can look around campus, not even for a minute, not whether it's the football field that just got put in 2021. You can walk in and see the basketball floor. You can see the weight room, new tennis courts, STEM and technology building, now new CAF. You don't have to look far to see what is going on with what you're giving to Edward Waters University. So to me, people should be jumping for joy that they have leadership that is making sure that progress is being made.
And that's the big thing, progress. You know, if you just it's April 2024, and if we go to April 2019, I would challenge anybody to write down the changes that they've seen on this campus.
Tough to
and
do.
they've been a lot.
Yeah.
Starting with the name change. Right?
Absolutely.
So start there. Right? Start there and then keep going down the list. And I guarantee you, there are not many places, PWI or HBCU, that can have the direct effect of where your money's going and how we're trying to change for the better than what Edward Waters University is doing. And again, that's testament to leadership. And I hope this was a great segue for our next video.
And it is.
Because I know we want you to give to the university, no doubt about it, because that's the only way we get stuff like the CAF. But we also need to be giving to athletics. Don't just come for homecoming. Don't just come this week for alumni weekend, Tiger Fest. We need you all year long.
Yes, we do. And yes, it is the proper time for that segue. I've got it right here. We'll go and we'll hear it directly from Dr. Rich. Here we go.
Greetings, Tiger family. We are 5 days out from our spring football game, but I'm here to share with you 5 reasons to join the Tiger Club. Today's reason number 1. By joining the Tiger Club, you have an opportunity to impact the lives of student athletes by providing resources to support their holistic student development. So what are you waiting for? Join the Tiger Club today.
Join the Tiger Club today.
Plain and simple.
You've got every reason to do it. You've got every reason to do it. I may have to get into the Tiger Club. I want more gear.
Hey, that's you put a lot of trips down to Jacksonville. I think getting to the Tiger Club is going to be beneficial for you.
For sure. Coach, we mentioned Tiger Fest. If we want to talk about that, you're expecting a very special visitor for Tiger Fest. I mean, people don't know. You got some good music taste, man. You're going to be locked in, I think.
Hey, man, this ain't, you better thank Prez now. Prez is the one that President committee get this done. It doesn't hurt, it's a little Atlanta flavor, but, it is what it is. But, little Tiger Fest activities, 12th of April, Friday. Little Rich Homie Quan. I think that'll be good. I think that'll be good.
I think he got a few hits, man.
I think he does.
Got a few hits, at least a few. No, I think that's going to be awesome.
And we always talk about things that we do at an HBCU, and as you see, that cost is very minimal, right? But it's very minimal because we want all our students to understand the importance of registration, like being registered for your classes when you come in for the fall. And that's why that price is low, because if they're registered for those classes in the fall, then that's why you can get in for basically $9. I don't know too many concerts you can get in for $9.
They can't even go to the Popeyes across the street and get a meal for $9.
I wasn't getting into Morehouse's homecoming concert back in my day, and not for $9.
Fantastic. I love the engagement for the students. I know Rich Homie Quan is going to put on a show, Tiger Fest. I love the registration environment too. Give students opportunity, get in and take care of their business. I don't know why we wait till the last minute to have registration anyway. You know you're in school.
Right.
But let's take care of that business. I hope my son is listening. I had to get on him about that. We got it done though. We're registered. Coach, we wanted to talk about, as you said, you did immediately get back to work, which is what we expected you to do. But there were some great moments from last season, some great accomplishments. You had some players that accomplished some great things, but I'd like to talk about just from your perspective. What are some of the moments we know some of the big wins that took place, but you understanding what we saw on the floor, but also behind the scenes things that were taking place. What were some of your favorite moments from the 2023-2024 season? Was anything that's you feel like is going to stick out with you moving forward?
It's funny. The first thing I'm going to mention is our feeling in that locker room when we lost in the quarterfinals to Morehouse. Those guys didn't like that. Because number one, we felt, even in year one, we had an opportunity to do something. Mm-hmm. And they didn't like that taste. So that's one moment. I think another moment when you talk about not actually getting a victory was when we went to Miles. Road trip, conference game, perennial power in the SIAC. And it's late in the game and we're only down 3. And it's early, where we're still trying to find ourselves. And I think that was really the beginning part of where guys said, we can do something special, even in year one. Right?
Yep.
So I think about that. I think about the first conference win, Central State, right? That was huge. The Tuskegee win, being able to win a close game right before break, at home, that was huge. Again, the toughest road trip I believe in the SIAC is the Tennessee trip, and to go take care of both games on the Tennessee trip was very big. Obviously, the home wins versus Morehouse and nationally ranked Benedict were really big for us. And then probably lastly was the win versus Spring Hill in the tournament. Because I'm not going to lie, Spring Hill whooped our tail early in the season. Like, whooped our tail. And they had some guys that whooped our tail. Yep. And when you turn around and you hold that same person who lit you up for 30 to 3, that just kind of lets you know the difference of where our team was to where we finished the year. So I think those were some of the great signature moments, team-wise, that we enjoyed this year.
For sure. For me, I will definitely say getting the film from the Tennessee trip, and it was a moment for me because those were games that, for whatever reason, I could not find a link to watch them live.
Right.
Nowhere. So I'm refreshing the score, and seeing that battle take place and watching us come out victorious, and then going back and being able to see the film. It was one of those moments where it was like, okay. Okay, here we go, right? Like it was, as the quote famously says, so you're saying there's a chance. I knew that would be a turning point. I felt like the basketball season was going to go like the football season went, and it was, we just needed to get a few to catch the momentum and to get into a rhythm. in the same way that the football team did. They were able to rattle off, I believe it was 5 in a row or something going towards the end of the season. I felt like we had an opportunity to do the same thing, and maybe even keep it going and continue. And as you mentioned, the Morehouse game went the way it went. We won't, say too much about that. Officials, 30 free throws, but okay, I'm gonna let it go. But
what I will say is that our team learned a lot this year, and we grew a lot. But I also say we lost 6 conference games by 14 points. And so if there's something that we have to learn how to do is close out close games. And that's what I talk about by being better. Because if we close out those close games, then we don't have the ebbs and flows that we had in the season where we win 5 straight and then we kind of go on the road and lose 2 in a row. Then we come back and win 2. Like, we don't have those moments because we were right there with everybody. And I don't shy away from that. Whether it puts a bullseye on our back or not, we will continue to get better, and we understand where we were and where we've got to go. And the beginning of the season challenged us. It made us adapt and reevaluate as a staff. But I think that's the only way you're going to get better. You can't just play this thing to get wins if you really want to get better. And I think us playing Lee, who went to the Division II tournament, playing Columbus State of perennial power in the Peach Belt, Flagler, who played for the Peach Belt Championship, playing USC Beaufort, who was in the Peach Belt, playing our exhibition games versus South Florida and North Florida. I think those things prepared us to be ready for the challenges in the SIAC. And we're going to always do that. As long as I'm here, we're going to always do that.
Hopefully South Florida will run it back. I could very easily, Coach, see you getting to a point where some of those games where people may not want to play those exhibition games anymore. But great experience. I do love that you don't back down from that. I was even one of those people that was like, Coach, do we really want to play? I mean, like you mentioned, South Florida, 26, 27 plus win team. Mm-hmm. Not counting whatever they did in the NIT, but they were 26 wins coming out of conference in the American. Like, that was a team that was won the regular season in the American and was a bucket away or so. A couple foul calls away from making the same run in the conference tournament. And as you talked about, Beaufort had their run in the Peach Belt. These are high quality teams. But I like that you don't back down from that challenge, even though it is scary for people like me. So I enjoyed it. But you mentioned the team getting better, Coach, and we got another graphic to kind of talk about some of the guys.
And I think this is what we're about, is that growth mindset. And so we look at, 5 guys here and what they were before this season, right? So you look at Goliath Mitchell, who did not play the previous season, really hasn't played in 2 seasons. Trevino Glover, number 32, hadn't played basketball in 2 years. Amari Floyd, as a in limited time, that was his minutes as a freshman. Jeremiah Cartang, he was a high school senior, right? So he wasn't even playing on the collegiate level. And then RJ Nord, the Division I transfer, those were his numbers from Elon. And this is what they were able to do in year 1, learning the system, learning each other, learning the SIAC. You see the jump for Goliath Mitchell, his points per game, his rebounds, his assists. Trevino Glover goes from not playing in 2 years to averaging 8 points a game and shooting, well over, 30% from 3. Mari Floyd just does everything, right? From points to rebounds to steals, being able to shoot the 3 as well. To a freshman, who had his ups and downs early in the year, like where he wasn't getting those minutes. So you got to remember those numbers are skewed from beginning of the year, where I had to learn to ride with him, right? To what he was able to do, again, over 30% plus from the three-point line. And I think he's going to continue to get better with his decision-making, just learning because he was a freshman. And then finally what RJ was able to do. Finally getting the playing time, finally be able to get on the court to show what he's able to do. And he still isn't where we know he can be. And we're seeing that right now in workouts, that he's getting to that level. So that's that growth mindset. And we believe it. If you want to develop and improve, come to Duval. Like a lot of coaches, a lot of programs aren't talking about development anymore. We are. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say if you come here and develop and you get better and you happen to jump in the transfer portal because somebody better wants you, then we've done our job. We recruited somebody we knew could be as good as we thought they could, and it's going to help us recruit somebody just as good the next time.
100%. Each of these guys, we did see them step up their game over the course of the year. Really excited when you talk about the shooting from Vino Glover and that trio of Amari Floyd, Cartang, and RJ Nord. You're talking about ball handling, shooting, guys that can do it all. Good rebounders too from the guard position. Guys did a good job.
And those guys are going to get better. I mean, we don't beat Benedict without those guys. We don't beat Morehouse without those guys. We're not getting to the quarterfinals. People forget the big shot that Vino hits to basically seal that game, in the conference tournament. Those guys are all important to us. And you've got to remember, I think people don't – I'm not going to make excuses because we still had opportunities to win in the quarterfinals. But I would have loved to see if Goliath Mitchell was on that floor in the quarterfinals. I would have loved to see if Amari Floyd, who hadn't played the first two games in the tournament, who just gutted it out and said, I'm going to try to give y'all something because I know Goliath is out in the quarterfinals. What if he had been 100%?
For sure. Something to think about. Coach, how does, when you think about some of these things and the team, and how does that impact how you decide to recruit moving forward? Because of those injuries, does it make you think about depth more? Does that keep those guys healthy? Or is it just the injury bug and kind of the ups and downs of the game in your perspective?
You've got to always have depth. We tell our guys, you are a play away from playing. So you've got to be ready. So that means we've got to recruit guys that are ready to play, right? But we also got to understand that everybody is not going to play. Like, it's just the nature of the game. And we press. So we're going to play more guys than most people play, but everybody's not going to play. But all of our guys know this one thing, and every coach that's on our staff will say the same thing. If we're not recruiting somebody better than you, then we're not doing our job. And you can take that for what it's worth. Because that person that we recruit that we feel either can be or is better than you is going to push you to be better every day in practice. And it's going to help us win the next year. Now, that does mean they got to have the right fit. Like we talked about fit with a coaching job. They got to fit who we are. We're not trying to fit them. They got to fit who we are, right? So we go to our recruiting breadbasket, 6 hours away from us in whatever direction, and we're going to look out and find them. So, Lenny, don't worry. We know about South Georgia. You should know we know about South Georgia.
No stone unturned. I can believe it. Coach, and I'm going to try to find the quote here, but I thought this was interesting, and I would love to get your take on it. It was a quote that came out from Danny Hurley, and he was talking about recruiting, and he talked about how much the parents played a role in how he recruited. He mentioned he wanted parents that were parents and not fans. I'm going to try to find the quote here. This is a little off the cuff, but okay. Yep, I've got it right here. And I want to play this quote for you and get your thoughts on this. In just a second, we'll pull it up here. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you, Coach, if I can get it up here. How often do you take a look at the parents' behavior? We know things get a little crazy at these AAU events. How often do you think about that when it comes to recruiting of the type of parent that your kid may have?
It's something we do look at. We want to know the kind of background that this young man comes from. Because if he's getting pushed to a level that's unrealistic, he may burn out. And if he burns out, or if he's close to it, he can't give us what we need him to give us, if that makes sense. We call him, I heard this from a guy I respect a lot, Penny Collins, head coach of Tennessee State. And he said the main thing you have to worry about are snipers. And everybody thinks of a sniper as somebody that's in the military. But a sniper, and for us in basketball, are the people that are in your player's ear after they leave the locker room, the huddle, the game, when they get in the car. Man, you should be playing more minutes than that. Man, why he got you playing the three? You a point guard. Man, why you not shooting them threes? Why? Instead of understanding what we need them to do to win ball games. Now, if you think this is an individual sport, there are a lot of individual sports out there. But for basketball, you got to be in sync. I said to my group at workouts, we got back from the Final Four, championship game. I asked them, I said, where did Big Klingen from UConn touch the ball a lot? They said, high post, right around the three-point line. I said, how many threes did he take? None. How many times did the defense sag off of him? Probably every time, Coach. Do you think he said, shoot, I'm going to turn around and shoot this? I'm open, Coach. He did not do that. He executed the play, did his role, his job for what helped him. And then I'm going to add on to that. How many times do we fight game planning as adults? Well, this is what my boss is telling me to do. I don't want to do that, right? So that carries over to these young men that we have. They said we were going to play Edie one-on-one in the post. And if he scores 50 points versus us, we're going to tip our hat and we're going to say they deserve to win. But even if he starts this game off hot, he will not continue to do that one-on-one versus Cleaning. Started the game off, I think, with 14. But eventually, it wore down. And the only time they doubled him was when the backup bid came in. And they followed that game plan to the T. And the only time they deviated is they wanted to throw a wrinkle at him was when they on his dribble, they doubled him on his dribble a couple of times late, about around the 10, 12-minute mark in the second half. So do your job, execute your job, and don't worry about the snipers because the snipers aren't in practice. The snipers aren't watching game and practice film. The snipers aren't seeing the scouting report. I was blessed to know some people that played us, and I asked them for a scouting report on us because I want to get better. And there were a couple of players, I won't say who, that I took a picture of what that scouting report said about them because it reiterated what we had told them in our inter-season meetings or throughout the season of what they need to do and what we need them to do. And it was eye-opening because sometimes kids just think we're just saying it, right? But we're not.
Wow. Hey, Coach, I think that's impressive. I don't think people understand how important and vital to somebody's development that would be. There's a lot of coaches that would not do that. There's a lot of coaches that wouldn't have the pull in the relationship to even get that scouting report in the first place.
So we talk about relationship with these players. It's also a relationship with these coaches. I think that's the only reason you can get better. When you can call somebody and say, I just finished year one, right? We had some success. Not the success we want, but we had some success. What do I need to do to improve success for year two? Because in your mind, everybody says, oh, you know you're going to improve. Well, how are you going to do it, right? Don't be afraid to have the constructive criticism, the difficult conversations with your players. Coach, I think we need to be better doing this. Or your staff. We got to have those things if we're going to get better.
Very true. I'll play this really quick and get your thoughts.
I'm not getting audio, Andre.
You're not hearing audio, Coach?
No.
Let me try that again.
Measurable talents you have to have, right? The height, the speed, the skill set. But we spend a lot of time really focusing on the parents.
The parents.
Yeah, on the parents. Are they going to be fans while they're on campus of their son, or are they going to be, or are they going to be parents? Are they going to, hold them accountable? Have an expectation that when something goes wrong, that it's not the coach's fault, that it's their son's got to work harder, he's got to do more, he's got to earn his role. We've got a real old school culture here of accountability. I'm an old school coach in terms of the tone I take with my players in practice, the expectations with effort, the focus on winning and we over me.
Like, what does that mean?
Have they played on 7 different travel teams? Have they transferred to 4 or 5 different high schools? When you talk to the parents in the recruiting process, are they constantly complaining about the coaches after a bad game, or are they, sending you a text or you having a conversation, where their son has got to do more, he's got to play harder, he's got to work on his skills. They tell on themselves, they drop hints, and you've got the wrong type of kind of people in that inner circle around your players. They'll sink your program. There's measurable.
Said a lot there.
Snipers.
There goes.
And he does. I mean, he's saying a lot. I mean, in this time of what we're dealing with, you got to be able to differentiate when's enough. You know what I mean? Like, I understand every program is not a fit, but how many cannot be a fit, right? How many times is it they're not playing me at the right position? Yes. Accountability is a tough word that we're dealing with right now, in our time, and it's not just athletically; it's just right now accountability, and we've got to do a better job of holding people accountable in all aspects. And we want parents that trust us, and that trust may not be right away, right? And what I mean by that is I can only use my team. Jeremiah never once heard anything when he wasn't playing early in the season, right?
Yeah.
Or when you've got a discipline, because you're going to have some kind of issue on your team. So when you've got a discipline, whomever it may be, the guy who plays 35 minutes or the guy who plays 5, and maybe that discipline has to cost you a game per se, right?
Yep.
And you can go in the locker room and say, he's not playing because he didn't do this. And those players understand we've got a standard. And it's going to always be the standard. I think that's what Coach Hurley's talking about. And if you really watch them, that's the reason they're successful, man.
I would agree. Coach, I think you know a lot about culture, about building culture. You've been successful at doing that at every stop that I've seen you do it. So that as you were speaking, that was one thing that video popped into my head because I knew that you would align with some of the things in that message from Coach Hurley. One of the things that I'll ask you is, Coach, as you know, you've coached a lot of different types of kids, and you've been at this for a good amount of time. Dan Hurley mentioned that he was a old school kind of throwback type of coach. I have my thoughts that basketball is going back to that, and I think that's a good thing. But what are your thoughts from somebody in the profession of, is there a certain way that you have to deal with today's youth, or is or did we lose sight of some of the things that were really helping kids develop into being good men?
The only thing I'll say goes back to the same word I just said, was accountability. We've got to be able to hold these young men, these athletes accountable, because that's what's going to help them grow to be fathers, husbands, productive citizens in life. And then we've got to have those difficult conversations. We've got to be truthful. Like, stop sugarcoating it. You didn't play well tonight. You didn't play well. Better yet, you sucked. And it's okay. I suck sometimes when I'm coaching. I didn't call the right play. I didn't prepare as well enough. And I can admit when I sucked. It's okay. It happens to the best of us, right? So instead of sugarcoating everything, we've got to be truthful. It doesn't mean you have to embarrass somebody, but we've got to be truthful. But on the flip side of that, I think you say, should we go back to that? There's a way you do it, and I think you just have to be you, right? Every coach has to be who they are. Don't change because Danny Hurley says do it this way, or Scott Drew says do it this way, or John Calipari. Be who you are. Because the more that you're who you are supposed to be, then those kids will buy into whatever you're trying to tell them to do, right? Like, our guys know what to expect. And they know we have 3 different personalities on our bench of how we're going to come across to coach you. And they understand that. And they respect that because it comes from love, right? So I think you just got to be you. But hold them accountable and be truthful.
I love it, Coach. If you had any goals that you are open to communicating to the world for next season, what would be some of the things that people would be able to watch your team and see were changes that were made from the 2023-24 season to 24-25 season?
Defensively, we want to get better, man. I think we didn't do a great job, or as good as we wanted to be defensively. And I think that starts with rebounding the basketball. We've got to be better there. We've got to be better at finishing through contact. So we've got to get stronger. We've got to improve our lateral quickness and explosion. So that's going to help us defensively of how we're staying in front of people. And we've got to get out of our own head. Like, I think this year we were in our own head because we were so new as a team and because we had a lot of people that maybe some others didn't believe in, if that makes sense, right? So they were trying to prove to somebody else that they could do something. I don't need you to prove what you can't do. You're not out here to show me what your weakness is. We can work on that in the offseason. I need you to do what your strength is right now, and let's accentuate your strength. And so I think that's something that we're going to improve upon. I'm not going to sit here and give you a win total and we're going to do this and do that. Do I want to win the SIAC East? Sure, I do. Do I want to win the conference champion tournament? I do. That's a goal every year. That will never change. From year, if that's my first year to if it's, I think I'm not going to be here anymore. We want to win that thing every year. But to do that, we've got to do those things, and we've got to be 1% better every day, and we've got to be more. We've got to develop more maturity. We're a young team, and so we can continue to develop that maturity. You'll see those things happen, and then also, you recruit to get better like that, right?
You do. I won't ask about any of the recruiting stuff. I want to, but I'll keep us out of the danger zone.
Coach Lenny has a question though. I will want to answer that.
Okay, we will. We'll do that. Let's get to it.
He says, "What is your focus with guard player development when it comes to our system?" Number one, we believe our 1 through 4 has got to be playmakers, Lenny, which means they got to be able to make plays for themselves and others. So we're gonna put them in space, whether it's DHOs, whether it's ball screen situations, whether it's read and react, 45 cuts. Driving the baseline, not to explore, but to score. And so they got to be able to score at all 3 levels, at the rim, mid-range, and from 3. If you know anything about me, Lenny, which I know you do, I love shooting. And if you can shoot the basketball, you can spread the floor, and you can make people pay. If you look at what we talk about with how we were able to beat Benedict, right? Benedict was so good. I don't think people realize how good Benedict was. Like, they were so good. The way they were able to manipulate ball screens based off your coverage is why they were such efficient offensively, right? But what we were able to do on the flip side of that was space them defensively, so they had to guard us. As much as they wanted to go score, they had to guard us. And we utilize our space to give us some one-on-one coverage on the inside. And if you remember that game, our inside presence really was effective with Big Don in the middle. Not just that game, but even, the losses at Clark and the Morehouse win, that spacing is very important. So we spend a lot of time on being efficient with your dribbles. Lenny, how can you get from point A to point B and 1 or 2 dribbles or less? We want to maximize how can we play in our offense without you pounding the basketball and making a pound cake, like, reading the ball screen. A lot of it is just, repetition, man, and how you can do that. And shots, like making shots. You got to make shots.
For sure. Talked about development earlier. Seemed like that plan, especially for those guys, for those guards, it definitely was up to par and working really well. Coach, I'll be selfish. If you had to give me a red, yellow, green report, this is all I want. You don't have to give me any details.
Okay.
Red, yellow, green report on how well recruiting is going. What color are we?
Yellow. We still got some work to do.
So that means it's green.
It's great. It won't be great till it's signed, sealed, and delivered. But
okay.
We enjoy where we are with what's been done so far, but we've got a long way to go. So it's yellow. There's some caution there.
Okay. I'll take it. Coach, we're going to talk about one of my favorite things. I love that you guys are doing this. I think the absolute world of this. I know you guys are doing a lot, but this is one of my favorite things that you guys are actually doing. To me, just connecting with the community in the way that you are. This is just huge. We want to talk about the Tiger Cub camp coming up at Edward Waters in June.
Man, we're excited to just pour into the community, man, and give them an opportunity to see who we are as coaches, to see our program and to teach the game of basketball fundamentally and let them have fun. Like, come into the gym. Bring this community back. I think we had a great environment from our faculty, staff, administration, students. But I want to add just a little bit more to that when we get this community really involved into what we're doing here and why we're special, why we are Duval, right? In this Newtown community of Jacksonville. So why not bring the little ones out, girls and boys, to our Tiger Club camp? You know, when you first get a job, when I got the job, it was kind of a little too late. I was still trying to build staff. I'm trying to build a team. Couldn't really get this going the first year, but we're excited to really get it going. And Coach Britt's going to be our camp director with that. He's really excited about that. And, you know, we want to have a gym packed full of Tiger Cubs ready to enjoy the fun on EWU's campus at Adams Jenkins, at the Adams Jenkins complex.
Yeah, I think this is just absolutely terrific. And you never know. You never know the bond and relationships that get built from these things, and the player who knows a player who knows a player, or just even beyond the basketball stuff, the community building that takes place for Edward Waters. There may not be the next Edward Waters basketball player that's coming to this event. Maybe it is the next Edward Waters sports information director or administrator or athletic director or professor or someone else that started their relationship with Edward Waters. Their first time on campus would be at this event. It's not something that kids get an opportunity to do very often, is step foot on a college campus and have a great experience.
And interact with coaches. Like, I think that's really huge for these Tiger Cubs, as we call them.
I would agree. Fantastic event. That one is by far my favorite one. Seeing you connect in the community the way that you said that you would when you very first took the job. Coach, that is about our time for today. Any news or notes or anything that we want to make sure we mention before we get out of here?
Last one. If you're listening, bring your team. Team camp is approaching June 14th and 15th. Come ball in Duval at the EWU Duval Summer Explosion. My local teams, we've got teams that you haven't played before. So you won't be, if I stay in Jacksonville, I'm going to be playing the same old same. No, sir. You will not. You will not. And if you're out of state, we have some contacts for you to get involved. So let's do it. We got somebody already that we know they're coming.
They locked in.
All the way from MIA, you know.
Locked in. I think it's fantastic. I've talked to a couple other coaches from Georgia, encouraging them to go down. Like you mentioned, it's a great opportunity. You're going to get to play a team from the 305.
And a team, if I'm Duval, I won district, right? If I'm not mistaken. So you're not just going to play anybody. You're going to play a team that's a winner. Like, so that's what we try to do. Like, we want anybody to come and we ask you, do you want to get better? Do you want to play the same level of competition? Whatever. But we got winners that are coming to this thing, right? That you can get your team better and have a great team bonding. Like I say, this is why Jacksonville is great. Come down and play, get better as a team, and then spend some time at the beach and have some team bonding.
Absolutely. I've been listening to you talk about this type of stuff for a very long time, and I know the rules. If you want your team to get closer together, you take them on a road trip.
Yep.
Take them on a road trip. So I would encourage coaches to do that. And I'm with you. Let's make it the best team camp in the state of Florida.
And I'll say this, you know, there are a lot of other team camps you can go to, especially in Florida. But just like I say, why not EWU? Why not EWU's team camp? Why can't we be the best team camp? Why can't they talk about us like they used to talk about, or maybe still do, Florida State's team camp? Or in Georgia, how we used to talk about Georgia State's team camp? Mm-hmm. Why can't that be EWU? Where every year people say, oh, well, I know I'm going to Jacksonville this date. These are dates we going down there. And it's gonna prepare you for the NCAA live period. You're gonna play with a shot clock. Why not do it?
Absolutely. Got to do it. Want to make sure that everybody makes their way to Duval County in June for the team camp.
And real officials, because I think sometimes people say, "Oh, the players gonna be official." No, we talking real officials.
That's true. That's big too. People I know, I seen some heat at your team camps before. There's a player that University of South Carolina had a really good year this year. And you had a guy at your team camp that set it off that's on that team right now.
Nobody knew about, right?
Nobody knew about it. I walked into the gym. I was like, hey, where little Penny Hardaway come from? Like, that kid was incredible. First time I saw him at team camp, and he had a really good season for South Carolina.
And as coaches, not just elite camps, but team camps are obviously ways for your guys to get exposure and seen. And one of the big things, is an opportunity, because as a coach, it's not just can he play for EWU. It may be who I can get on the phone with, who Coach Britt, who Coach Reedy, who Coach Chuck can get on the phone with and say, yo, such and such is good. Like, we may not need a guard in the 2025 class, right? Or he may not fit our style of play. But I think you guys need to be on him. Like, don't miss out on those opportunities. Because and I'm not saying it because I just want you to spend your money with us. I'm saying it because I've been a high school coach.
Happens way more often than people think. Happens way more often than people think. And whether you think so, parents, if you think that you reaching out to a college coach is going to have the same weight as a college coach reaching out to another college coach saying, hey, you should look at this kid, I'm sorry, you're a little disconnected. Just a little disconnected. So, great opportunity. I hope everybody enjoys it.
If you need more information, just see our social media pages or email us and we can get you whatever information you need, Coach. If you want to do both days, you want to do one day, whatever works for you. If you need to be in a certain time period, just let us know.
That just reminds me, I got to update the logo here on the background. We still got the Twitter logo up. It's not Twitter anymore.
Right.
That logo to X now that you said that, just reminded me. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been great speaking with you. We'll get another update. Coach, I think we will get next week. Yes? No?
I think we should be good next week.
I think we will. I'm used to live period being around this time, but it's not anymore.
They changed it on us.
So we'll be back for you guys next week. Stay tuned to all things Edward Waters basketball right here at Tiger Vision. We are Duval. You guys have a great night.